Hey everybody, I am Bill, and welcome to Angle of a Talk podcast. every time I say it, it makes me laugh because it's so ridiculous. I apologize, but Ryan, my friend Ryan, Captain Darkon, made this awesome logo, and it was just like, this is hilarious. I don't care how corny it is. We're sticking with it. So this is episode number 1, and I am very excited to have JonFly joining me for episode 1. He was one of the first people I met in real life that I had previously seen on a Flight Sim stream, and it was at Flight Sim Expo 2018. And he came up to me at the expo and said, "Hi, Bill." He had seen a stream of mine or saw. I honestly, I still don't know how he knew it was me, but anyway, he said hi to me, and we took a selfie, and I remember feeling like shocked that JonFly knew who I was and came up to say hi, and I even told Julie, I was like, "You won't believe who I just met, and JonFly, I got a picture with him, and this is crazy. I love Vegas." So I'm extra excited to really learn more about the man behind JonFly. The Twitch persona. So yeah, without further delay, let's meet JonFly.
Hey everybody, JonFly here. Ooh, here's my touchdown. It's not bad. Oh, snack! What is the plane doing? What is the plane doing? I'm going full down. Yeehaw! Landing rate means nothing. That's it. You're fired.
Do I call you Mr. Fly? Do you ever go by Mr. Fly?
I haven't yet.
All right, well, we have JonFly here with us. John, thank you for joining me on episode number 1 of Angle of a Talk podcast.
Ooh, I like that name.
What do you think about that?
I do like it.
It's
That's catchy.
It's so corny. My friend Ryan made the just spot on logo up in the corner there. It's so corny and cheesy, but I love it because it's corny.
Yeah, I dig it. I actually do. I didn't know the name of it before now, so.
All right, well, John, I wanted to have you on episode number 1 because I consider you, like, I don't want to say the godfather, but at least the face of flight simulations. In this community, there's like so many different variations of Twitch streamers and flight simmers. You've got air traffic control guys, you got GA, airlines, East Coast, West Coast, European. You kind of do everything. And not only in the sim, but also with your presence in the community. So that's kind of where I wanted to start before we get to how you got here. Is what is here? What are you currently doing right now? What's kind of the landscape of the JonFly empire?
No, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that you're starting this up, and it's an honor to be on episode 1. And here's to another 150 episodes. To start off with, I am definitely. I would say that let's narrow it down to say the United States. I would say that I'm in the top 15 to 20 with regard to flight simulation and Twitch, but definitely not number 1. Well, I will say that to begin. We got some big streamers worldwide that are just magnificent, and then we have several people in the States that I've learned from and get inspired by. So I'm definitely not the face. Let's put it that way. That's what. But I've enjoyed the growth. We have, of course, we're celebrating 2 years of Twitch partnership, which is a big honor, and
that's 2 years of a partner, not just 2 years of streaming. Yeah. That's partnered.
Yeah, that's 2 years of Twitch partnership. It's wow. It would be, I believe I started in October of 2015, as a streamer, and actually started streaming with P3D, believe it or not, and known more recently for X-Plane. But yeah, 2 years as a partner. That was a big honor. And breaking news, not that this is related to JonFly, but Brad M got partnership tonight. So
wow.
We're twitch.tv/Brad M. And I'm sorry to take a little bit of a tangent, but he Twitch staff, something like 70 or 80 of Twitch staff raided him tonight.
Oh wow.
To announce to him live on stream that he got partnership.
That is so cool.
It was a surreal moment. So it took me back to that moment of 2 years ago when I got accepted to partnership. And of course, in the United States we have Val Dudes, who's been a pretty regular flight streamer, who's a partner, and Cat Strader, of course, and I'm lucky to be categorized in that neighborhood, I guess. And Brad is a wonderful addition to the partnership. So I know that's a bit of a tangent. As far as where we stand currently, we're just having a ball. We're just having a ball flying with people. Bill, I'll have to say that I don't like flying alone right now. When I get into the pit, the only reason I'd fly alone is if I just didn't want to. I wanted to test something to see if something would work, so I didn't want to spend the time troubleshooting it on the live stream. And so we're just enjoying it. And of course, we have the YouTube channel as well. That essentially we just take the live streams up and put them up on the YouTube channel, and I'm not spending a lot of time massaging those videos. And then of course we're having just a ball with FS Economy. We've built the largest virtual airline for FS Economy in less than a year. We built the largest VA for FS Economy in as far as active pilot size. So pretty proud about that.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's Snack Air, right?
Yeah, Snack Air. Yeah.
And where did that come from? Why did you start that a year ago?
It's funny that question doesn't come up a lot, but it kind of, Marcus MMC of Pilot Edge fame introduced me to FS Economy. He said, here's something to give you some purpose in your flying, some missions type stuff. And I got in there, and he actually, in the early days, he donated a Cessna 172 Skyhawk to me, because if you're on FS Economy, you actually have to fly for a while before you build up enough money to purchase a Cessna. And he kind of gave me a little bit of a kickstart, not knowing what kind of monster he was, starting to create. And I'm not talking about JonFly monster. I'm talking about the 140 pilots that are flying for Snack Air. So it just kind of came about as a result of using snacks as a phrase on my stream, and I had to come up with a name for an FS Economy group. So we're having fun. For those that don't know what FS Economy is, it's basically you fly from A to B and you get money for transporting passengers and or cargo, and you buy planes and you buy airports and you buy fuel and supplies, and it's just it's a fascinating area of the hobby.
Okay, so you've got the partnered Twitch stream, you've got the YouTube channel, you've got Snack Air, you've got newly released PB&J stream podcast. Congrats on that as well. I watched that last night, and fantastic.
Yeah, we're excited about that. Yeah, for sure.
So let's go back in time.
Okay.
I've heard you tell the story a number of times, but I want to hear it again because it's fantastic. The high school presentation.
Oh yeah. I've had to tell it time and time again, just because it's kind of, it's
like a legendary story.
It was almost prophetic, in a way, because I mean, who would have thought in 1986 that someone would be demonstrating how to fly a plane on a computer and someone videotaping it?
It's every time I hear you tell that story, it feels like a John Hughes movie. I always picture John Hughes type
Yeah, and
movie.
and we'd have to go hire that 1986 classic Macintosh prop
Yeah.
that would cost us $5,000 to rent to bring it onto the studio. But you're right. You, I will not forget it. And it's amazing the set. Okay, this may sound a little bit strange, Bill, but Van Halen, it's a music group, right?
Hmm.
And they came out with an album called 5150 at that same year, right? And they had even the Dreams song from Van Halen is like the anthem of the Blue Angels. But I think back to that classroom, and I had this kind of, in some classrooms in high school, you have a partner, and this guy was just the classic, what we called back then the stoner, right? He had the Levi jacket, the jeans, and long hair. He was but the guy had the biggest heart, and he introduced me to Van Halen, and I introduced him to flight simulation. I took up the Van Halen for the rest of my life. He didn't stick.
I was just gonna say, are you still listening
to Van Halen? He didn't stick
with
the flight simulation, but back to the story. It was essentially it was kind of I went to Arapahoe High School in Littleton, Colorado, and it was kind of rare for a high school to have a TV production course, like a class, right? And it was kind of it was probably someone's idea that they wanted to get people into this type of potential career path, and the object of the class of that particular week was we had to do a video of something, and I chose to bring in my Apple Macintosh and show Microsoft Flight Simulator version 1.0. And again, this was 1986.
So 1986, Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.0.
1.0, yeah. In fact, I just recently got an emulator of it, so I can actually fly it on my Windows 10 PC. Oh. And it really is. It's stick figure. It's stick figure stuff. But the funny part is that the VOR, the slant alpha navigation actually works in this simulator. And yeah, long story short, I made the video. I presented to the class this video, and walked away.
How did you make the video?
Smiling.
I mean, was it like a guy had a hand camcorder?
Guy had a huge. It wasn't one of these hand camcorders. It was
like
one
the
of
VHS
these
one,
gigantic, right? Almost goes on your shoulder type thing. And you had the VHS. It may have even been Betamax, if you remember Betamax.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It may have been.
My dad had the big, like, we have
Yeah.
home movies from when I was before I was born, and he always had the big honking, like it was the VHS version, but those things are huge. So he's over your shoulder as you're demoing Flight Sim 1.
They had a tripod, and so they'd zoom in to the Macintosh, and the teacher was very concerned that the image wasn't going to show up because she had tried to videotape IBM DOS PCs with the monochrome black and green, and she says it just doesn't show up on screen. Well, I said to her, this Macintosh is going to show up on screen, and the only reason I knew that was because my dad had a gigantic camcorder, because he had worked for Sony, and I had taped my computer in the past, and I knew that it would show up on video. I said it'll show up, and she's like, no, it won't. I'm like, yeah, it will. Let's do this. And so we I've said this before, I would literally pay I'd go in debt to buy the video if I could find that footage. Can you imagine watching that?
Oh, I think that has to be the first documented gameplay footage of a flight simulator, right? Ever.
I think there's probably a lot of people that it was accidentally shown maybe here or there, but I don't think it. I think there's only going to be a handful of people in 1986 that are actually going to be videotaping someone showing flight simulation. I think it's rare, but there's probably 100 videos out there. We have to find them.
I mean, is it possible if we got like Indiana Jones Jr. or something to hunt that down? Do you think it exists like in your parents' attic somewhere or something?
No, I think the only place that it exists is in it's probably in that teacher's house, if it still exists, right? And then it would have to be converted from analog to digital. But it'd be kind of funny just to call up Arapahoe High School and say, hey, listen, you had a teacher in 1986 that was teaching a television production class. She was a female. I don't know her name. I was a student. Here's my name. any chance I could get a hold of her?
Do you have a yearbook?
I do in a box. Yeah,
I mean, because this is the internet.
Could. Yeah.
Yeah,
I could probably find out the name. Yeah.
There's got to be somebody.
Someone sees this video and says, "Oh, wait a second.
That's my aunt. That's great aunt's
AV
video teacher."
Exactly. Yeah.
That is so awesome. All right, so and I don't know if this is going back even further or not, but why flight simulator? Are you like obviously now I think you would consider yourself an aviation geek, but were you interested in airplanes before Flight Simulator 1, or would that fall in your lap and you're like, oh, I kind of like this, and went from there? Where did planes fit in?
Yeah, well, I actually have my believe it or not, Bill, my first sitting in a cockpit was when I was 2 years old. So we have quite the and it wasn't an ordinary cockpit either. It's an actual glider. It was a sailplane.
Sweet.
And it was my father's. My father was a PPL, and he had a 172, he had a 182, and he had a glider. And I've got this great photograph of me. I'll send that over to you, and maybe you can implement it into the
for sure
the visual here possibly. But I have it's me in the glider pit just laying there going whoa, you know. And then of course throughout the years he had the Cessnas, etc. And so I had that. I had that exposure to it. I didn't fly a lot with him, and life got busy. But he ended up getting, when I was 14, he ended up getting me the Flight Simulator 1.0 for Macintosh, and so, and then he ended up buying me Flight Simulator every version that came out, and then we transferred over to the PC. So I was, it was traditional. Every 2 years, you had a new Microsoft Flight Simulator there for a while, and so I went all the way up through P3D version 3.2, and then in October of 2015 we discovered X-Plane.
So was the simulator, like the bi-yearly Microsoft Flight Simulator purchases, was that something that you did with your dad, or was it something that he knew you liked, so he bought it for you and kind of left you on your own like a normal kid with a video game?
Yeah, I was up, let's say from 86 up until I was married in 93. He was basically the guy who was buying everything for my whole life, And then after I got married, I continued that on occasion, assuming that at that particular juncture of that early young marriage that I could afford to purchase said simulators.
And did you, at that early of a time period, did you have a joystick? What was your setup back then? And not necessarily for the 1.0, but just kind of...
Yeah, well, at the 1.0 it was only a mouse and keyboard, but I remember I can't remember a lot of the peripherals, but it seems like the Microsoft Sidewinder joystick was well received because it had force feedback. And I'm going to have to research when that came out, and I just recently discovered that if you actually have that model from a long time ago, it's actually got a higher resale value now than it did back then, because it's one of these few joysticks that had force feedback, like it would respond to you and shake and move and everything like that. So I remember that joystick. I'll have to research what year that came out, but that was the Sidewinder feedback. I used a Logitech 3D Pro for more than a decade.
Yeah. And
then now we're kind of spoiled with the Thrustmaster HOTAS, which is kind of out of the frame here, but the Thrustmaster Warthog HOTAS it's dreamy.
Pretty nice. So, like growing up as an adolescent with your dad with a private license, couple of airplanes, you're into flight simming. Did you ever get into the real plane stuff? Did you ever want to become a commercial pilot or?
Great question. Yeah, now granted, in the teenage years, a part of me wishes I could go back and say, you know what, this is the path that I want to go on. I'm very envious of commercial pilots today. There was a point where I was trying to go the corporate pilot direction, thinking that was going to have more glitz and glamour and not be, just more freedom and small, fun small biz jets, etc. And so in 2000, right around 2001, I started taking flight lessons out of Oakland, California, and I flew a Piper in your neck of the woods where you were, not, your state.
Yeah.
NorCal versus SoCal,
Yes.
but your state.
Well, I was actually born up there in NorCal.
Okay, so yeah, I lived in Alameda at the time.
Okay.
And I flew out of Oakland in a Piper, a PA-28, and it was I built up 30 hours, and I'll say this right now, as you know, in these busy airspaces, a lot of your flying as a student is radio work in those busy airspaces.
Oh yeah.
We didn't have Pilot Edge back then, and how great it would have been for that. So I actually had 30 hours logged in the Piper, and the instructor that I have, her name, I'd like to find her today to find out where she went to, with her career, but her name was Betsy, and she was essentially just building up hours. She was pretty transparent, and I just want to build up hours and get on with the regionals, so that's what I'm doing. And she was very, very hesitant to let me solo, even though I felt like I was prepared. I think I was her second or third, maybe fourth student, and I think she just was scared to let me solo, thinking it would reflect on her if something happened. And I understand that. Yeah. So I ended up not soloing, but pretty much could fly everything, get in the plane and fly around Oakland and, do maneuvers over San Pablo Bay, for those of you who are familiar with NorCal. So I started on that path. Then I started having children, and then I did an international move to Germany for a few years. I did a move back to Tennessee. Flight kind of took a standby. We would still dabble in the flight simulation maybe once a quarter, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And now I have these older. I have a daughter who's married, and she's actually just finished her master's degree.
Oh wow.
And she's down in her. She's going to be done with her PhD here within a year.
Damn.
So it's
in what field?
In English, yeah. She's going to be she's an author. She writes fiction and nonfiction, and super proud of her. But yeah. So people sometimes look at me and go, "Wait a second, how do you have a 23-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old daughter? How do you do that?" Chapters. So yeah, I wanted to go the commercial route, but I ended up not being able to do that. And then just in a year ago or so, I went for my FAA medical, and yeah, they want a lot of paperwork because I had a heart attack in November of 2016, and so the FAA does kind of frowns upon that. Cardiac conditions, and so I had a stent operation, etc. Okay. So my aviation dreams are now pinned on recreational / sport pilot and of course flight simulation.
Well, I think those LSA rules come, I think, the middle of this year. They're supposed to include 172s and make that sport pilot.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah. Don't quote me on the numbers, but I think it's like up to 3,500 pounds.
Okay.
I think
because
Yeah, they do it now, I think, based off of like case by case, and they're still going to retain some of that, but the minimum to qualify as a light sport, they're just moving that up big time.
Yeah, I found a Czech sport cruiser that I was going to do the recreational, the sport license with, and so now it's just a matter of, because you just show them your driver's license, right? And
it's crazy.
It's just a matter of economics, but I would prefer a Skyhawk, so that's good.
And I'm kind of the same way too. Like it does seem like it's easier to go about. Like I did the medical, and I kind of got all that, like the paperwork stuff out of the way, so it's kind of irrelevant now. But the idea of a lower cost per hour LSA just to get the license and get get the CFI out of the right seat, which eats up so much time per hour. And then get checked out in a Piper or a 172.
Yep, for sure.
Well, I hope you get up in the air soon. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'll live vicariously through others and occasionally jump in that right seat,
Absolutely.
or
Well,
or even in the back seat.
yeah. Well, like, I mean, we've talked about this a few times, and the simulator really is fantastic. I mean, it's if you have the right brain, I think you can get lost in that world and trick yourself in that this is real and what we're doing is real, and you get real visceral reactions to something going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that in your flying? Do you take it seriously to the point where if something goes wrong or if you don't do something correctly, you feel as if you're really up in the air?
It's amazing the amount of I hate to use this word, but anxiety when something goes wrong and I'm on the Pilot Edge network.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it shouldn't. I should just treat it like it's a game and not worry about it. But at the same time, I think I kind of pay to feel that, that level. I've been in so many scenarios where it's like my heart and my mind and everything is treating it like this is real. And at the end of the day, does
Yeah.
it really matter?
Yeah.
And then of course there's VODs and 100 people watching me, so I get to relive my screw up over and over again. And
And I'm
you
sure
know,
be reminded of it later.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll hear the word Helena for the next 6 months probably because we iced up our
Nah, it's okay.
737 into Helena. So, but we live off of sometimes
Yeah.
failure. It inspires others to dip their foot in the simulation pool.
So speaking of VODs and being able to relive it, what was the first, like, what prompted the content creation portion of what you do? So you have a history of flight simulators. What caused you, like, do you remember what the first video you uploaded? What was the first time you shared your simulation
Yeah.
experience besides that first, the Flight Sim 1?
Yeah, I have the videos of the originals, and some of them are available on the YouTube channel, and some are not. Let's put it that way. But in that late 2015, where we discovered this ability to stream live to people. I kind of have to thank Josh J. Gibbs for showing me what was possible, because he kind of showed me that you can show flight simulation on a stream in such a way that is attractive to others. I mean, I saw his what we call ortho photo in the X-plane world, and just the realistic scenery. It was just blew my mind. It inspired me to keep going with the streams and start the streams up. So I would just load up and fly a Skyhawk. I was scared to death of jets. I was scared to death. So there's a lot of video of Skyhawks and a smaller aircraft in the beginning. And sometimes it's fun to go back and look at those days and realize how, in a lot of scenarios I was very cheesy. I'm probably still cheesy today, but back then it was more so.
I just named a podcast "Angle of a Talk," so
I like it. I really like it.
I know I can appreciate some cheese.
Yeah.
So you started with Twitch and not YouTube.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I had done a few videos. I'd thrown up a couple of videos up to YouTube that were ham radio related, but they weren't flight simulation and I believe my first flight simulation videos were on Twitch. Yeah.
Okay, and just because
and
you
then
can
of course
upload it.
I put them on YouTube afterwards. So
Got it.
that's why I have the archives of the live stream. I probably could do a lot better with my YouTube channel if I went through and edited and massaged them, but I enjoy the company while doing these crazy productions.
Yeah, is that what keeps you going with the streams? I mean, what's at this point? What's your motivation? And really, I guess, what was your motivation to continue in 2015 as well?
Yeah, I think it was all about, if I go eat sushi by myself, it's delicious. But if I go share sushi with someone, it's much, much better. So it's the same thing with flight simulation. It's the same thing with, I mean, things are life is better shared. And so flight simulation to me through twitch.tv and YouTube is a way to share this hobby and learn from others. I still learn every day. Even today when I did a live stream, I was learning certain nuances of an aircraft or a situation or a scenario or so many, acronyms and abbreviations, etc. I just love that we both, but growing up back in 86 and 87, 88, 88, 99, none of my friends wanted to do anything to do with flying simulation. They're like, what? So now we have this avenue to go find people that enjoy this. And then as a result, I've come to know real world pilots, and we get opportunities to go fly in the real world as a result of this shared passion. So that's the main motivation for me with regard to Twitch and YouTube, is the ability to share. And then there's a lot of side goals where I want to see other people succeed, and I want to see a lot of other people grow their channels. I get nothing but huge grins and goosebumps when I see people who maybe stumbled across my stream, learned how to fly better, this, that, and the other, and then decided to start streaming. And then all of a sudden they have a boost in viewership and growth. And I love to see that. I love to see it because I was there and other people helped me. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that was one of the main things that I noticed about you. Because I started watching you, and it wasn't too soon after that that we met at Flight Sim Expo.
Yep. It was very soon. I remember, and we felt like we knew each other a little bit too.
It was very strange, yeah. And I told Julia, who was there with me, I was like that was JonFly, like JonFly, like he's one of the biggest streamers, and like he said hi to me and like said hi Bill, and I was like so amazed that the community.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that very well.
It was crazy, and it was just only like a couple of months since I even like knew what Twitch was that I kind of fell into it. And
I even remember it was about 11 minutes right after I met Cajun Cacti and Cajun Cacti's son, two guys who were very active in the chats. And then I remember meeting you. I remember it was like we had a chat in the ballroom.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was so crazy. I love that. But yeah, your support of the community is kind of what I meant by you're the face of the flight simulator community, because not only, yes, we've got a number of really popular, successful streamers out there, but you're kind of the linchpin between all of it, and it's online and offline too. Your Discord community, Snack Air, and the fact that you cover all types of airplanes and regions and everything. So to transition, what's your thought process? Like if you were to fire up a stream right now, why do you pick a plane and a location and a mission that you do, given your varied experience?
That is a very good question. And it's just a little bit of a backstory on that. The other night, my wife jumped in on the stream and drove a semi on American Truck Simulator. She drove around Nevada with me live on stream, right? And someone asked her in the chat, because they over time they've become familiar with this wonderful woman who is food suddenly appears on the JonFly stream out of nowhere. She's just she's a big heart. I don't expect any of food delivery whatsoever, but she's like, here you go. And people have gotten to know her, but they love when she was able to come on the stream for the first time. And out of all the questions, that are asked on a stream, they wanted to ask her, so what do you think about JonFly and I streaming? And she says, I don't really have, I like it. It's fun. Enjoy it. I don't have, the problem is the prep time. So this kind of leads into the answer to your question, is that he's always preparing, and then she said, that takes away from time from, other things. But she says, but if he wasn't doing flight simulation preparation, he'd probably be doing something else. So it's okay. But it was interesting, that comment, that because yeah, you'll find when I'm not streaming, I'm up there like looking at routes. I'm looking at planes that are newly released. I'm looking at, do I go to Europe? Do I go to the US? Do I venture out? And you know, there's a lot of decision making in regards to what do I fly next, because I get on people sometimes for flying the same planes over and over again. You know, because I think the key and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, but you know and the truth is that you get a lot of viewership with a 737 or an A320.
Yeah.
And you do GA though, so you get a little bit of a leeway with regard to what I'm referring to.
For
but
sure. Yeah.
But I do a lot of it. I said on stream yesterday I fly 44 different planes. That makes me the master of none of them, and it's very apparent on the stream that I'm not a master, and I forget, you know, I flew that 8 weeks ago, but I need to. And there's guys in the chat like, hey, do this, do that, and I'm like, oh, thank you for reminding me on how to do that. But there's so much prep that goes into it. You know, you prepare your live streams as well, and you have to think about it. There's some people that can wing it, and on occasion I do wing it, but for the most part, like I right now I have 12 aircraft in a line lined up what I'm going to stream next.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. Now I intermix my favorites in between the list, right? So my Zebo's my favorite. It's my go-to. The Zebo 737 for X-Plane 11 is my go-to plane, right? So I intermix the Zebo in between all these different GAs, and then I throw in a 7.5 or a 320 or a 7.6, but I think variety is good, but we're lucky though, because some of these aircraft we get for free because of we have a name out there, and so we do get some product for free, which is helpful.
Yeah, for sure. So, but I mean, honestly, how much of it is variety for the sake of the stream, and how much of it is you liking to fly different airplanes? Like, if no one was watching, would you be happy personally flying the same plane and mastering one plane, or do you like the variety?
I like the variety, and I think I do it for me, which makes me in turn makes for a good stream, because if you're a guy going out there playing something just because you want to increase the viewerships or numbers or whatever like that, people can see that you're not really enjoying this. But the other day when I switched to that outside flyby view, and I look like a kid on Christmas morning, that is genuine, honest, true feeling of like those wingtip vortices and that jet coming right at us. It's like, if I didn't enjoy it, it would be hard to launch a stream, to be honest. So I do it for me, which in turn I think makes for a better stream for others, because it's genuine. And so I do like the variety. And the other day I was itching to buy this new Carenado 172 Skyhawk that just got released a few days ago, and I was itching to buy it, because I wanted to see the difference between it and default, but I knew that other people wanted to see it. But I held off because I'm an org store like loyalist, and I'm waiting.
It's out on the Carenado. It's like direct through
Carenado. It's out
Carenado.
on the Carenado, so it's got a week or two before it releases, and so I'm trying to show my loyalty to the org store.
Okay, so here's a scenario. Here's a hypothetical. All right, let's say one of two things happen. Either the LSA weight limit gets moved up so you can fly a 172, a PA-28, or you get your medical signed off and you're good to go, and you're back in going for your PPL. Is that going to change anything that you do on the stream?
I think so. I think that I would probably. I think a lot of a stream's success is stories, from our lives, whether they be even family stories or friend stories that have nothing to do with flying. Sometimes that makes a good stream. So if I could get on stream and share with people a particular flight or a particular thing that happened in the real world, that's why I enjoy tuning into a Bill 4LE stream. You often relate real world scenarios with your simulation. Same with the black box, same with Cat Strader, Josh Gibbs, Cirrus Max, all these guys that have real world PPL, Grau Adler, and they have this real world experience. They're telling stories, and I think that that's a value add. So that would definitely change my stream for sure. That's just from the storytelling process.
So would you use it as a preparation tool as well, along with a storytelling tool?
Yeah, I would probably recreate a check ride with an instructor before I got my before I went with the FAA. I would I may fly out of an airport here north of Salt Lake City, so I would probably simulate pattern work, and I would simulate touch and goes and navigation, etc. Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure you do the same thing.
I exclusively do the same thing. I have like a cadence where I will prep a flight, do the flight, stream the GoPro footage, and then debrief the flight.
Yeah, nice.
The plane's been down, so I haven't been able to fly in real life, but that's what I enjoy doing, and it helps me with the actual real world flying. Because the simulators are so freaking good, and you add Pilot Edge in there, and your brain just thinks you're flying a real airplane.
Yep. So as Cat Strader said the other night, it scratches the itch of flying for 1/1000th of the cost.
Absolutely. So you've got this 30 hours in a PA-28 in Oakland, and then you're kind of flight simulators accelerated exponentially in their realism since then. How has your that in between simulator experience translated to more knowledge in an airplane when you are in the right seat?
Yeah, I think I was talking about it just recently that obviously we know that Pilot Edge is a tremendous training program for real world comms. I'm confident going right now. I could go up with you in the air, and if you said, "Hey, John, can you take the radios?" I would, no problem. Do it.
Yeah.
I was saying this the other day on stream. I'm more nervous talking to Keith Smith on Pilot Edge than I am to New York Approach or SoCal Approach or anything. I would take the radios in a heartbeat, right? So that part of it is amazing. So pilotedge.net, I'm not an employee, but I will throw that name out there.
I will say it as many times as anyone will listen. Pilot Edge.
I've also learned that there's a lot of scenarios that I find myself on the stream that I would never put myself into that position in the real world.
Yeah.
I would never do it. And and a lot of times we're flying a 2-person aircraft. We're doing it 1 person while trying to entertain 150 people. And you would never distract yourself with so many different things in the real world. So I definitely separate from that, and there's been opportunities where I've been able to fly, but I think the simulation, the P3D or X-plane, is such a wonderful. You've experienced it firsthand. It's such a wonderful way to become familiar with all of the instrumentation, all of the navigation. You can do so much IFR training that is so applicable to your real world IFR check ride. It's amazing.
It's absolutely incredible. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like the VR stuff is hitting its stride a little bit, and it's becoming more and more realistic. And I've only had a few VR experiences, but your brain is just completely freaked out. It just thinks you're shooting aliens or whatever you're doing. And flying in the sim with these ortho sceneries and these really high fidelity plane models, your brain, it's almost indistinguishable. And you got a guy on the radio, telling you to contact SoCal, and you're just like, what the hell?
And he knows exactly where you are.
Exactly,
he knows your speed. He knows your altitude.
And then you get in the real plane, and you're like, this is all the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same guy telling me to taxi via Alpha Hotel Charlie Kilo. Like, it's the exact same. This is weird. All right, let's just do it.
To 2-0 left. Yep.
2-0 left.
And the only thing that I just wish that we had that seat of the pants feel.
Yeah. That's
the only thing that we're missing, unless we have a full motion simulator. But it's that seat of the pants feel, because there's so many scenarios where we get graded on a really bad landing or whatever, and it's like, dude, you can't feel it. The sound,
Yeah.
all this, you know.
Yeah, the sound is a big one as well, and just kind of the overall discomfort. I mean, depending on what kind of chair you're sitting in at your stream. I mean,
Yeah.
you're generally speaking pretty comfortable at your computer.
Yeah.
You know, you've
Yeah.
got the bathroom right there, and you've got
Yeah.
your lovely wife bringing you some tacos. And you just
Exactly.
have access to none of that in a airplane. If you're on, depending on what climate you're in, you're either
Yeah.
sweating your balls off, you're either
Yeah.
freezing to death, you gotta pee,
Yeah.
you're hungry, it's noisy, it's rattling, it smells like gas, and you're just like, oh my god, there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah. And you want to go up the next day if you can.
Yeah. Oh, and you just want to just do. Can I keep
Yeah.
stay?
Yeah.
Stay
Yeah.
in the air.
Yeah.
Okay, so switching gears, Snack Air is unbelievable. Like that, it's just massive. There's so many people involved in that. You've got an amazing website. First of all, what is that? Because I fly FSE a little bit, but I'm still not like entrenched in that environment. So what is FSE, and then what is Snack Air, and how did it and why did it grow to what it is now?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, to sum it up, it's essentially, you know, I talked about it earlier. It's that economy. It's that interaction. It's the same thing that I fly online with people. This is something that I go fly, and I go buy Jet A, or I go buy 100 low lead from another guy who owns an airport in Oklahoma or whatever. And then I take passengers from point A to point B. It gives purpose to the stream. It gives missions. You're able to bring up, you're able to, you're looking at it right now, the Snack Air, the airport map.
Yeah, so these are all the airports that Snack Air owns?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my
and
God.
then and then we even have another detailed map that actually shows the routes that we have. I have an FBO manager his job is to go in and scout out routes that are profitable to take passengers and cargo. So I have to give credit where credit is due. D Money's 327. His name is Derek. He's from Waco, Texas. He set up this website. He has this website, and he's such a guru with regard to databases and everything like that. So we work together and extract the information from FS Economy, and we're humans. We love a leaderboard. We like kudos. We like acknowledgement. I'd love nothing more than people to say, "Hey, thank you, JonFly, for teaching me about that whatever plane."
Dude, this website is insane.
Same thing here. Yeah, I mean, you're just scratching the surface of it.
Oh my God.
But these guys are like, I want to be in the top 10, or I want to be in the top 20. My goal is to be in the top 30 this month for Snack Air. And we just have a simple rule that you fly once every 45 days to stay on the roster.
Okay.
And all of these people have come together and worked on, this website. We've got another guy working on the roster to make sure that people are staying current. We've got several painters that are volunteering the livery painting. And it's a community effort. And we have the Discord where people, share stories, whether they be tragic or happy. It's just about, it's a family. It really is. And a few of these people I've been able to meet in the real world. But you can be dang sure if I'm if I'm headed to a town, let's say I'm headed to Kansas City, and I happen to know that there's a Snack Air pilot in the real world that lives nearby, I'm going to try to get together for a brew or some dinner or coffee or whatever. So yeah.
Look at all these liveries. Good Lord.
I know. And people, it takes a lot of time.
Oh, these take forever.
To paint those. Yeah. So I have, it's.
Oh, that's awesome. That DC-3 is awesome.
It is. And actually, believe it or not, we actually redid that one because it was a little bit bright. So I probably need to update the pictures. So we made it a little bit
green,
less. Yeah. So there's constant tweaking and.
Oh my God.
Like
this is hilarious. Oh, there's my little arrow.
Yeah. And unfortunately that's not the turbo arrow, but we take out the non-turbo once in a while.
Yeah. And the non-turbo is where it's at.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So this is just, it's It's kind of hard. Like when I first was introduced to FS economy, I had to have it explained like a number of times where I'm just like, okay, so this like isn't real money, but it's like people are acting like it is, and like what's going on here? I mean, it is
Yeah.
the like
I,
inconsequential to the max, right? Like it doesn't mean anything,
it
essentially.
yeah. I mean, I'll try to give another perspective of it. I recently took Snack Air. I put Snack Air in debt, $13+ million to purchase Albuquerque. So we have to make very large monthly payments to bank, a bank that's, and a bank may be charging interest. They may not. They may, you may be swapping aircraft plus money, but it's so crazy that it's funny. It's like I run this company where I actually feel a little bit of pressure to make that payment like you would in the real world if you were running a fleet. So I'm doing it on the group level. Like I have to make this payment to keep Albuquerque.
And is the bank fake, or is the bank
The bank
somebody?
is an FS economy player who has a lot of money and
Got
has
it.
got into the banking business.
So he just set up. So someone at some point in FS economies,
Got enough money where they're like, I'm going to give out
I'm going to
loans.
start sending loans, and like they set it up through a forum, and like
Yeah,
there's a
yeah, yeah.
18%
And then
interest, and just
Yeah,
like
and then
maybe
occasionally we get the angel investor who helps out. Just recently, we bought Idaho Falls, and we went in debt even more through an angel investor who charges a zero interest rate just because they want to see Snack Air,
like a
not be
fan, basically,
completely
right?
go under.
Yeah.
Yeah, a fan, but also realizing that they have this money in the bank and they're not doing anything with it right now. So they can look at our that website
Yeah.
and they know that we're pulling in 9-10 million a month. So they're like, oh, we're
They're
gonna
good
get
for
paid
it.
back. Yeah, but isn't it funny that the people who started this, it was just about making money from going from point A to point B, and now they probably didn't even envision that there'd be guys out there that are starting banks and leasing companies, and then there's a lot of things I'd
It's
like to
amazing.
change with FS economy though, to be transparent. They have a policy of keeping FS 2004 airports that are closed in the real world,
Mm.
and I would love for their database to be modernized. I'd also love for them to incorporate more jet opportunity. Right now, it's limited on the tube side of things. So
Okay.
I I'll be open and say it's a wonderful thing, and we've rode the Snack Air train, and we're going to continue to make it grow and succeed and make people happy. But I would like to see some change if possible.
Yeah, and it will, right? I mean, is it something that's evolving? Is it being
There,
updated?
there's a board of directors that's involved in the decision making process, and they're all volunteer because FS economy is free, as you know. So you have to, anytime that you have a volunteer team, you have to understand that you don't know all the dynamics, and they're putting their hard, their sweat and tears and joys and everything into this project out of pure love of the hobby. So you can't be too critical, but at the same time, I would love to get the ear of one or two of the board members and say, hey, so what is your thought on updating the process and potentially removing these old airports and maybe including more jet ops, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in time, maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot on this one. If you had to give up streaming or FS economy, which one would you?
If I had to give up streaming or FS economy,
Yeah,
oh, FS economy in a heartbeat.
would
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
So where do you see all of this craziness going?
That is a very good question.
Where would you like it to go? First off.
I would like to see Twitch flight simulation, grow tremendously. I'd like to see those people that are coming in and tuning in and watching us to start a stream. And if that's something that they will enjoy, because again, I'm sharing flight simulation with people, but I'm also sharing this idea of streaming with people. And what better thing would it be than to have something 24 hours a day that we could tune into, that we just, you do. There's your 24 guys that you love to watch streaming, right? So every hour, one of them's live, and how awesome would that be? So I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that grow. I'd like to see, I can't really ask for much more on the technology side. We have had massive improvements in software and hardware. The only thing that I'm asking for is higher resolution with the VR stuff. But I'm not sure if the VR stuff is streamable yet, to be honest. It's difficult for me to tune into a VR stream at present. So if there's a way, maybe someday, where I'm doing VR, but all of my viewers are also in VR, maybe that's something down the road.
Yeah.
The idea of also, you boot up a JonFly stream. I'm in the Diamond DA62, and you click a button, and suddenly we're in the same plane. So you just sit back. You're watching me on one screen, but I'm also controlling your plane at the same time.
That would be cool.
Stuff like that kind of fascinates me, and that may come down the road. Who knows? But yeah, we'll have to see.
Is there anything anything more that you want to do?
That is a very good question. If someone came to me and said, John, here's 6 figures, go full-time Twitch. Okay. I'd do it. I would do it. I would make it my career until that 6-figure salary ran out. Being responsible for a family and having the mortgage payment and the car payments and all the stuff like that. You can't stream flight simulation full time and make ends meet. I think there's maybe 2 people that do it right now.
Yeah.
If they do make enough money in Twitch to support their stream, to support their livelihood, they are probably doing more than flight simulation. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fair. Would your stream, so if you had a 6-figure salary in your full-time streaming, would your streams look any different?
I think so. Yeah, I think there would be, right. My wife's name on Twitch is Right Girl. Right Girl would probably not be happy with the increase in preparation time. I mean, you can kind of ask yourself that same question. If you suddenly were, handed a 6-figure salary, would your stream look different? I think everyone's answer would be yes. But JonFly himself, I don't think that it would change anything with how I present, but there probably be a little bit more into the production value.
Sure.
And I would also probably, over time, there would be new technologies that are coming that would be incorporated, because I'm able to focus on it. You take the streamer that has his day job and then comes home and streams, 1 or 2 nights a week. He's not able to keep up with some of even these new extensions that are coming out, for example. Or he's not able to try every new aircraft that comes out. And so I'm lucky right now that I'm not finding the right job, so I'm able to stream full time right now. But it's that dream may end.
Well, John, thank you so much for chatting with me today. You're a fantastic ambassador for this community, and I think wherever this community goes, it will be because of people like you helping push it along. So thank you for everything that you do for this community, for aviation, as well as streaming and flight simulators.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Thank you for streaming. And I wish I want to see episode, like I say, 1 through 150.
I hope.
And give my
absolutely
give my best to your wife as well for tolerating you like mine does.
I will. Yeah, she definitely puts up with quite a bit, like yours does as well. Well, John,
Yeah.
where can people find you? Obviously, obviously, you got the stream, but where if people want to get in contact with you, where can they do that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously twitch.tv/JonFly, but be sure to not misspell John, because that, there's a few things in life that trigger me. No, JonFly. You could also do YouTube searches for JonFly, JonFly. I've got numerous Facebook pages as well, but I would say start with those
Okay.
first.
Yeah, and they'll all be linked below as well. So
Yeah.
I'll have all those linked
Perfect.
linked below there, so people can find your
Snackair.com.
snackair.com. I love that website. I'm gonna poke around more. I haven't spent enough time on there. I want to see what.
No, I'm sorry, but are you on the roster yet? Or
No. I don't really. I mean, I've done maybe a handful of SFS economy flights.
Okay.
Because I keep it. I mean, I fly from John Wayne to wherever and then back.
Yeah.
And if there's not like an FS economy flight,
that
out
makes
of those,
sense.
I just kind of go, well, maybe I'll pick up some passengers on the way home or something.
A lot of jobs to Palomar.
I could be a little Palomar taxi.
Yeah, like regular, like boom, 2-4 runway. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Appreciate
Absolutely.
that very much.
Absolutely, John. Well, thank you. Have a great night, and we'll see you in the next stream.
All right. Sounds good.